Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about silver and disinformation. Disinformation is actually one of my favorite types of things to talk about because it's rampant in alternative media, for one. It's rampant, obviously, in major media. It's rampant everywhere, right? Basically, when you have misinformation or disinformation, if you want to call it, whatever, it's a play on words, right? It's basically you get about 90% truth, maybe 95% truth, maybe even 98% truth, but there's a target thing they want you to bite on. Basically, it's like, why does a fish bite on a hook? It doesn't bite on a bare hook. Obviously, it's a trap, right? You got to put stuff around it so the fish bites. So, that's the deal. So, I mean, you really, it's probably good to still look at the information because some people say, well, maybe I can ascertain what's the garbage and what's good and all this type of stuff. But, one guy that's actually been big disinformation all along has been Lindsey Williams. And I think that's become very obvious now. As far as money goes, anything that's related to, financial forecast or anything like that, that guy's been extremely off. And, that's one thing that I've been thinking about because he's been predicting a $75 silver, which is a lot more, more tame than what a lot of other people were predicting, $500, $400, $1,000, $2,000. Actually, and now I'm starting thinking about it. Next time silver goes up, I think it's going to be in 2014. It's every 3 years. Maybe it will be a big hard resistance point right around at 50, and it will correct. Maybe it won't hit 72 to 75, that next fib point. Maybe, maybe not. So, I'll definitely sell off my PSLV if it gets up there a ways, but I'm not going to wait for 70 something. But, as far as physical, I don't know. I could wait on that for quite some time. But, if you look back at him, he talked about the skies falling so many times. It's ridiculous about the dollar losing its world reserve currency status. I know that. And, I still see this guy cropping up on YouTube, but now I've noticed that everywhere he crops up, all the comments have been disabled and the ratings have been disabled. I think everybody knows what's going on now. But the one thing I want to talk about here is when we get into the Iran war, it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure of it. Even though they can't afford it, whatever the hell it is, it's going to happen. You see, the thing with Iran isn't just over oil. Really, what it's over with, what it's really over is they're trying to they won't take any dollars, U.S. dollars, for oil. Basically, they're doing something worse than even Saddam Hussein did when he went to. Actually, I think it was his sons that did it, and it's probably his doubles that lived. That's a conspiracy theory. He might have been dead when he actually thought he was alive, and it was his doubles being alive. His sons might have changed his policy, but they wanted Iraq went ahead and did euros for oil instead of dollars, so we went to war with them. Then it was Gaddafi talked about having a North African gold-backed currency and stuff, and he went to war with him. So Iran, they would have already went to war with Iran a long time ago, except the country's got a lot more population. And here you can see Putin the cat walking by. Anyway, he was up there on his shelf. Anyway, guarding the ammo as always. But he was, the thing is, that Iran has too much, mountainous terrain, too much territory, and all this type of stuff. It was a smaller country. They would have definitely went to a war with Iran a long time ago. But it's too much of a threat to the dollar as a world reserve currency. And, the Russians are working together with Iran because they want to establish, even the ruble as, they're not going to make the ruble the world reserve currency. But, their high hope would be to have the ruble as a part of the basket of world reserve currencies. That would be their really high hope. That is coming up. There's going to be a war with Iran for that reason. It's not over oil. There's plenty of oil, and actually I talked about, Akaranga Basin, what I think it was in Australia. It's got 6 times the amount of oil that they know about than the entire Bakken reserve in the United States. It's got about as much oil in there as Saudi's oil. They got loads of oil on this earth, so they don't really need Iran's oil. You know, it's over this keeping control of what the dollar is backed by. In other words, you have to trade oil in dollars. So they're going to go to war over that. Now, it's the big question is, the question is when? It's like, I never know. I mean, I think Netanyahu could have pulled the trigger. Actually, it was real. He could have pulled the trigger on that basically in June of 2012. There was a lot of rumors at the time. There's been a lot of rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors. But I want to point this out. Very, very, very important. World War III is not going to start over Iran. Nope. Not at all. It ain't going to start over Iran. Maybe it might start some years after that, not too much further down the line, but World War III is what's going to collapse the dollar. This crap about Lindsey Williams saying the elite have the plans to collapse the dollar, that's not true. This guy, it's so ludicrous to even think that an insider would tell this guy, who is so freaking naive as all hell, anything. It's ridiculous. I could tell you some things, maybe, I don't want to name names, but, I can tell you one thing. When you guys all think, these conspiracy buffs out here and watch Russia Today and stuff like that, and they think Putin's against the New World Order, I got news for you. That guy, all his money is all tied up with Western money. They're all tied together. He's just one of the intramural competitors. And the Russian oligarchs, all their money's, I think a lot of their money is tied up in dollars. I don't know if all of it is, but a lot of it is. A lot of it is. Actually, Putin has, I think he's part in trading houses and stuff in Switzerland. These guys are all tied in with the Western financial establishment all the way. They're part of it. But they're intramural competitors. That's the only difference. That's quite obvious. But Lindsey Williams doesn't know anything, man. I'm sorry about that. I mean, there's still people that believe this guy, and I'm like, get the hell out of here with this shit. No way in hell. Now, the one thing I think for the future, because there is other technology I think that's been suppressed that can actually, besides industrial hemp, that can actually, technology that can actually make a lot less dependency on oil for energy. First off, there's a lot more stuff coming out with solar power. Actually, if you look at some of the solar stocks today, I think some of the solar stocks jumped up a lot because they had really good sales. But there's new technology out there. I don't want to say his name, but there's stuff out there like they can actually, the solar panels are getting extremely much more efficient. It's like they're not in production. There's new patents out there. I don't want to say this guy's name, but even that, and stuff with the mining of hydrogen from water, like with Stanley Myers and Genepack. I talked about that on other videos. See, oil is actually on its way out, and oil is really how the elite are controlling everything. That's really how they're controlling everything. So if you want to actually figure what the hell would be the next thing they would move into to control stuff, it's going to be water and food. Water and food, because I think they're going to put some kind of tax. They're going to try to do a global tax on water. But if there's free energy, you can actually make energy. You can make water out of any waters. You can make potable water out of any water source if you have free energy to do so. The elite actually, they're still going to retain control, but what's going to do? They're going to go to is food and water. That's the genetically modified food that doesn't produce, it doesn't have its own seeds. You got to buy their seeds from them. There's no sustainability for anybody at a individual level. You have to depend upon the corporations or the government for it to supply the food to whoever grows it, right? That's how they're going to retain control. I think oil is actually going to be on its way out as something very important as a commodity. It's going to have one more super spike, and when it has its super spike, that's when silver is going to have a super spike. I don't think silver is actually going to be money again like it used to be for thousands of years. But if you do look back from the 1800s back, The average price of silver in real dollars today was between $200, at least $200 an ounce, more like between 200 and 500, and even higher than that. So it does have a lot more room to move. It can easily go to, when it spikes up maybe some years from now, I think 2017, 2018, it may be about $150 to $200, and it may drop down quite a bit from there too. I don't think it's going to stay up that long, because I put out other videos about, demand destruction. And, if something, silver's an industrial commodity. If it becomes that expensive, there's going to be all this technology that comes out, and they already have it, where they're not going to use it, and the demand is going to drop off. And it's not going to be something that's going to be used as money. That's the other thing too. The central banks always hated silver, so I don't see how it's ever going to be used as money like it used to be back, centuries ago. Unless, the only way you can actually do that, is if people get off their dead ass and do things, and they totally don't bank in a banking system, and they save all their money in physical silver, and they ignore the banking system completely. And all these bureaucrats and desk pushers and desk jockeys just go out of business completely. But people are lazy. They will not do that in the United States. They will not do that for the most part. So I think what will happen is there'll probably be a spike in silver at the same time there's going to be a spike in oil, and I think that's going to come about when the Iran war comes about at the same time. So, what I think is going to actually be a mini spike before the big spike is maybe when we attack Syria. Syria's going to have, something's going to happen with Syria, because Obama has been called out as a wimp on this garbage. And just remember, do not listen to Lindsey Williams. I think a lot of people aren't, because, I noticed every time now he's on YouTube, they disable the ratings, they disable the comments, and because there's going to be a gazillion people calling him out for all his past erroneous predictions. I gotta say this, no insider is ever going to tell you what the hell is going on, especially they're not going to tell it to somebody like Lindsey Williams. No way in hell. No way in hell. No way in hell. No way in hell. Not even close. Not even close. I think I probably can give you a little more straight scoop on things, but now I'm actually starting to think that since Lindsey Williams has been so freaking wrong, that I don't think silver's actually going to hit 72 to 75 in 2014. I think it's going to have an extremely good year, but maybe that $50 level is going to be a hell of a lot of resistance, and it's going to bounce off of there. That could be too. That could be too. Now, if it breaks through 50, I'm definitely going to start selling some physical, no doubt about it. But I'm not going to wait for any kind of breakthrough 50 to sell any electronic silver. That's for sure. That's for sure, because I don't think it's going to. But I just have to point this out. There's more disinformation in the alternative media probably than even in the major media. There really is. It's like you're getting some gems in there, but they're making people panic. They're making people have a negative attitude. They're making people feel like down in the dumps, and that ain't helping shit. You know what I mean? That ain't helping nothing. So that's what's wrong with the whole damn thing. It's almost like the Alex Jones kind of show, because he's got, he's a multimillionaire that lives in a mansion. The guy scares the crap out of people, and he goes, "You better listen to my show all the time, or else the New World Order is going to get you." And he puts all these guests on there to scare the crap out of people. Basically, that's what he's about. Yeah, he's exposing stuff, but basically, I don't think he's legit, to tell you the truth. Actually, there's far more disinformation in the alternative media than you would want to believe. There's far more disinformation. It's like disinformation basically is, it's got to be, if it was blatant lies, nobody would freaking believe it right from the beginning. So you got to put a lot of truth in there. But it's just like trying to get somebody to bite on a fish, get a fish to bite on a fish hook. You got to put stuff around there. You got to put something around a hook so they bite in it. You got to have something so they nibble on whatever the food is, so they're poisoned or whatever the hell it is. to actually lure them in. And that's the game. That's the game. Disinformation is extremely rampant in the alternative media world. But I have to say, stick with that silver stuff, because it's going to play out, and I think actually it's going to be a spike. Now, I saw something yesterday by Jim Sinclair talking about silver being a spike and then coming down. I was thinking it's going to be a spike even before I saw that. I think it's going to roughly do the same kind of garbage as with oil. Same kind of garbage. The main people that are going to get ripped off on the super spike with silver are going to be the middle class that jump into it late and hold on to it due to being fearful that they better not sell it because they'll lose whatever hell money they have. And it's going to keep going up. So, like, in other words, if silver goes up to $120 an ounce, there's going to be people buying it, and maybe it's going to continue up to $150 to $170, maybe to $200 an ounce, or maybe even more for real. Because actually, if it went up to $400 or $500, I think that the $200 to $400 jump is probably going to happen in a week. It's going to be a spike. And if you see a curve like that go hyperbolic, that's the time to jump out. It's an age-old principle. Nothing goes up that damn fast. And I'm going to actually point a link to a video. I think I did it actually in a lot of different videos, but I think I did one specifically on demand destruction. And I put a lot of information in that because that's basically a fear of all the precious metals miners. They want to make money and they want to do well, but they don't want the cost of their commodity so high that it puts them out of business, because if it's that high, there's going to be some engineers and scientists that are going to figure out a way not to use it. They'll develop something. Necessity is the mother of all invention. So that's what happens. They want it high enough so you just keep on it and you just pay for it, but they don't want it so damn high that people jump out of it and find alternatives. So, if it goes up that rapidly, it's going to be a spike. And I wouldn't really be thinking so much about the US dollar reset as I'd be thinking about the silver reset and the oil reset too. Because if oil actually went up to, say, $200 a barrel, I think that's going to happen eventually after it might take a couple of years. I think that's going to, I don't know when the Iran war is going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. But when that happens, you're going to see, it doesn't have to take that much of the supply of oil off the face. It doesn't have, like, if the Iran war, you could say Iran doesn't produce that much oil compared to this and that and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't take that much of a percentage of the global market's oil to be taken off the market for the price to spike like crazy. In other words, if you took 1% of the global price of oil off the market, that doesn't mean the price goes up 1%. It might go up several percent. If you took off 10% of the oil off the global market, the price could easily triple. You see, that's kind of how it works in rough terms. So if there's a war in Iran and it's affecting Saudi oil production and everything like that, oil can easily go to $200 a barrel. But I think that's a little ways off. That's when you're going to see the super spike on silver. And I think that's what it's going to be, a spike. Now, it's anybody's guess as to exactly how high it's going to go, but you'll know it's getting dangerous when the curve goes hyperbolic. You might be thinking, well, it got twice, I should sell some, but maybe it's going to go up 5 times, 10 times, or 11 times. One other indication I actually use a lot of common sense in is as that gold-silver ratio. Because I think the next time, well, this is one of my arguments about the 72 to 75 for silver. I think the next time silver goes up, not the final spike, the gold to silver ratio, actually the silver to gold ratio, whatever you want to call it, it's going to go from, like, the last time it did the spike was about 31, 32 silver to gold. I think the next time it might do about 28 or maybe say 30. But if gold is at 2150, and the ratio of silver to gold is 30 to 1. Well, that puts it a little over $70, doesn't it? 72, 73. So that is not too unreasonable, right? That's not too unreasonable, is it? So, you know, that's another factoid I could throw out there that might be the case. But I think really the catalyst that's going to drive this silver is not this PMI data, the QE, and all this kind of garbage that's going on. It is the Middle East. And in that respect, you know, Lindsey Williams is semi-correct. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's out there that you get truth in. Like you get 90% truth with 10, you know, but they want you to bite on the fish hook and the poison. That's the reason they wrap it with a lot of truth. So, I think though what's coming up, like I said, Syria is going to be, it's common sense. It's right there. The writing's right on the wall. Obama's going to be pushed harder and harder on Syria. Something's going to happen in Syria that's going to drive oil prices back up again. And that's probably going to drive gold and silver. And we're probably going to have a problem in 2014 when they stalled off everything in October, right? Same old deal. But my point on this is to be very careful about the disinformation and misinformation. It's like they got to give you at least 90% facts for you to bite on fish hooks and poison. That's really what goes on. And I think I'm going to try to find a video that I had about demand destruction. And you just use a lot of common sense, because, you know, somebody is not going to be paying, I mean, even oil, if it was $200 a barrel, nobody's going to be paying that in real dollars forever. Everybody's going to be going to electric cars, for crying out loud, at that price, you know. They'll be finding other ways of using anything or whatever they're going to do. They do something else. That's really why, and I just have to point out again, all the miners know this. They don't like it when they're making money at mining, but if they're making extreme heights, you know, they're making extreme profits, they know that just something's going to happen, because there's always a way of getting around using that product they're getting out of the ground. It's called demand destruction. It's just an economic principle, and scientists and engineers always figure out a way around it. Like I said, it's an old expression, you know, necessity is the mother of all invention. So that's another reason I think silver, if it gets extraordinarily high, it's going to be a spike. And you know, don't think about the dollar reset. Think about the silver reset when it gets that high. So I know what I'll be doing. I'll be dumping that stuff.